The massive ship hung silent above the blue planet. Its crystal-like surface gleamed in the starlight, a perfect triangle that seemed to cut through the darkness of space like a knife. Inside, Captain Daho watched the world below with cold, calculating eyes. Daho was not like humans. His skin was a pale gray, with slight ridges that caught the light of the ship's control panels. 3 fingers gripped the edge of the main viewing screen, each digit ending in a sharp, slightly curved nail. He was tall, nearly 8 feet when standing straight, and his species had conquered dozens of worlds before reaching Earth. "Jimin," he called, his voice a low, clicking sound that would sound strange to human ears. "Bring up the planetary scan." Jimin, the ship's communication specialist, moved quickly. Her fingers danced across holographic screens, pulling up layers of information about the planet below. Charts, graphs, and streams of data appeared, floating in the air like living things. "Preliminary analysis complete, Captain," she reported. Her voice was calm, almost bored. "Planet designation: Earth. Dominant species: humans. Technology level: early interplanetary. Potential for resistance: minimal." The ship's bridge was a marvel of alien engineering. Curved walls pulsed with soft blue light. Screens showed multiple views of the planet: thermal maps, population density charts, communication network layouts. To the Cowran crew, Earth looked like nothing more than another potential resource to be harvested. Daho knew the routine well. His species had perfected the art of first contact over thousands of years. Most developing civilizations simply surrendered when confronted with Cowran technology. Some fought and were quickly crushed. A few rare ones managed to negotiate, but those were exceptions. Humans would be no different. "Prepare initial communication protocols," Daho ordered. "Standard approach. We'll give them 2 options: peaceful submission or total elimination." Jimin nodded, her fingers already moving to set up the communication systems. The universal translator was a marvel of technology, capable of breaking down any language in moments. It would convert the Cowran's complex linguistic patterns into something the humans could understand. Outside the ship, Earth continued its slow rotation. Cities glowed like scattered embers against the darkness. Satellites moved in their precise orbits. Billions of humans went about their daily lives, completely unaware of the ship watching them from above. Captain Daho allowed himself a small smile. Another world. Another conquest. He didn't know how wrong he was. The ship's sensors continued to sweep the planet. They collected information about human technology, communication patterns, and military capabilities. Each scan told a story, but it was a story the Cowran would misunderstand completely. They saw simple machines and thought them primitive. They saw complex communication networks and thought them weak. They saw a planet with limited space exploration and thought the inhabitants would be easy to control. What they didn't see was the spark of human potential, the ability to adapt, the drive to survive, the hunger to grow and explore that burned in every human heart. Jimin finished preparing the communication systems. "Transmission ready, Captain," she said, her voice cutting through the quiet of the bridge. Daho nodded. First contact was about to begin. In his mind, this was just another routine planetary acquisition. A few messages, maybe a brief show of force, then submission. He had no idea that everything was about to change. The first message was prepared. Simple, direct, the kind of communication that had worked for the Cowran hundreds of times before. "People of Earth," the message began, "we are the Cowran. Your world is now under our observation." Little did they know, those words would be the start of something they could never have predicted. The meeting place was carefully chosen, a neutral zone suspended between Earth's atmosphere and open space. The Cowran delegation arrived first, confident and proud. 5 aliens stood in a perfect V formation, their gray skin reflecting the soft light of the conference chamber. Kim Jae-wook stood alone on the human side. He was not what the Cowran expected. Jae-wook was average height, just under 6 feet. He wore a simple dark suit that looked almost informal compared to the elaborate ceremonial robes of the alien diplomats. His hands were relaxed at his sides, but there was something in his eyes that made the aliens pause. Captain Daeho stepped forward first. His translator hummed to life, converting his clicking language into smooth, understandable English. "Representatives of Earth," he began, "we come with a proposal. Your planet has resources we require. Your technological development suggests you understand basic interstellar protocols." Jae-wook listened. His face remained calm. Too calm. The Kauran diplomatic team consisted of 5 members. There was Daho, the captain. Next to him stood Jimin, the communication specialist from the ship. To her left was a tall, thin alien named Coral, who specialized in planetary resource assessment. On the right were 2 security officers, muscular beings with hard exoskeletons that looked like living armor. They expected fear, submission, negotiation. What they got was something entirely different. Jae-wook's smile was the first warning. It wasn't a nice smile. It was the kind of smile a predator might give just before striking. "I understand your proposal," Jae-wook said simply. His voice was steady. No tremor. No hint of fear. The Kauran exchanged quick glances. Something was wrong. Daho continued, believing he was in control. "Your options are simple: peaceful cooperation or complete resource extraction. We have conquered civilizations far more advanced than yours. Resistance is illogical." Jae-wook reached into his jacket. The 2 security officers tensed, their hands moving to weapons that could vaporize a human in milliseconds. But Jae-wook pulled out something unexpected: a simple data pad. "Before we discuss your proposal," he said, "I'd like to share some information about my planet, about humanity." The data pad flickered to life. Images began to play, not of peaceful landscapes or scientific achievements, but of human history. War scenes flashed by, not just recent conflicts. Thousands of years of human struggle. Battles fought with sticks and stones. Battles fought with nuclear weapons. Battles fought in space. Battles fought with technology beyond imagination. The Kauran watched, their confidence slowly draining away. They saw humans fighting impossible odds, surviving impossible situations, adapting, changing, growing. Coral, the resource assessment specialist, leaned closer to the display. His 3 eyes narrowed as he studied the images. Humans seemed to turn every limitation into an advantage, every setback into an opportunity. "We have survived ice ages," Jae-wook said quietly. "We have survived plagues. We have survived ourselves. Do you really think we would simply surrender?" Daho's translator picked up the underlying message. It wasn't a question. It was a warning. The conference room grew quiet. The soft hum of alien technology seemed to fade. All attention focused on the human standing alone, holding a simple data pad that told a story of survival, of struggle, of an unbreakable spirit. Jimin felt something she had never felt before in all her years of diplomatic missions. Fear. Not of weapons, not of technology, but of the unknown potential sitting right in front of them. Jae-wook continued to smile, and the Kauran began to understand that they might have made a terrible mistake. The negotiation had only just begun. The holographic display flickered to life, filling the conference chamber with a cascade of images and data. Jae-wook watched carefully as the Kauran delegation tried to process what they were seeing. The first set of images showed human technological progression. Simple stone tools gave way to bronze. Bronze transformed into iron. Iron became steel. Steel became machines. Machines became computers. Computers became something else entirely. What should have taken thousands of years happened in mere centuries. Coral, the Kauran resource specialist, leaned forward. His 3 eyes moved quickly, trying to track the rapid changes. Humans had done in hundreds of years what his species took millennia to accomplish. "Look closely," Jae-wook said quietly. His finger moved across the holographic display, highlighting key moments of human development. The aliens saw wars, countless wars. But these weren't just conflicts. They were accelerated learning experiences. Each war brought new technologies, new ways of solving problems, new methods of survival. World War I introduced tanks and airplanes. World War II gave birth to nuclear technology and advanced computing. The Cold War pushed humanity into space. Each conflict was a brutal school of innovation. The Kauran had conquered worlds through slow, careful expansion. Humans seemed to leap forward through sheer willpower and desperate creativity. Daho's translator worked overtime, converting the complex visual data into something the alien delegation could understand. But translation wasn't needed. The images spoke for themselves. Your species sees obstacles as opportunities, Jawook explained. Where others would give up, humans innovate. Where others would surrender, humans fight. The display shifted. Now it showed human exploration, not just of Earth, but beyond. Tiny metal machines sent to other planets, robots exploring Mars, probes reaching the edges of the solar system, satellites mapping distant stars. Jimin, the communication specialist, felt a strange sensation. It was close to fear, but something more complex. Humans weren't just exploring. They were hunting for knowledge with the same intensity a predator hunts prey. The Kauran had vast technology, faster than light travel, advanced weaponry, complex communication networks. But humans had something different, something harder to measure: adaptability. The holographic display showed human medical advances. Diseases that once killed millions now cured with simple injections. Machines that could replace human organs. Genetic technologies that could rewrite the very code of life. We don't just survive, Jawook said. We transform. More images appeared. Humans living in the most extreme environments on their planet. Under the ocean, in burning deserts, on frozen mountaintops, in space stations floating above Earth, each environment more hostile than the last. Coral's translation device caught Jawook's next words perfectly. We are a species that turns limitations into advantages. The Kauran delegation grew quiet. Their confidence from earlier began to crack. Daho studied the images. Humans weren't just another species to be conquered. They were something else entirely. A civilization that treated challenges like puzzles, obstacles like opportunities. The final set of images showed something unexpected. Not weapons, not machines, but human faces. Faces from different cultures, different times, different parts of the world. What connected them was something the Kauran couldn't easily define. Determination. Hope. The will to continue. You came here thinking we would surrender, Jawook said. His voice was calm, almost gentle. But you don't understand us at all. The holographic display went dark, but the message remained. Humans were not a species to be underestimated. They were a force of nature. Dr. Hyun Park stepped into the room. She was small, thin. Nothing about her suggested danger. But the Kauran delegation had learned to be careful. Her hands carried a simple metal case. It looked ordinary, almost boring. I want to show you something, she said. The translation device hummed. Her words were clear, calm. But something in her tone made the alien scientists lean forward. Captain Daho watched carefully. After Jawook's previous demonstration, he wasn't taking anything for granted. Dr. Park opened the case. Inside was a device no larger than a human hand. It was silver, smooth, with small blinking lights that seemed to pulse with an almost living rhythm. This, she said, is one of our experimental technologies. Coral, the Kauran resource specialist, moved closer. His 3 eyes scanned the device. Complex sensors in his vision tried to break down its components, but something was strange. The technology didn't make sense. A micro-singularity generator, Dr. Park explained. Her smile was not friendly. It was the smile of someone sharing a dangerous secret. The Cowran scientists exchanged looks. A micro-singularity generator? Impossible. Such technology was beyond even their most advanced civilizations. Dr. Park pressed a small button on the device. The air around it began to change. Tiny waves of distortion appeared, like heat rising from hot ground. But this was different. This was something else entirely. We can create and control small gravitational anomalies, she continued. Imagine the applications: space travel, energy production, weapon systems. Daho felt something he had not felt in hundreds of years: uncertainty. The device continued to pulse. Small ripples of impossible physics danced around it. The Cowran scientists' sensors went crazy. Readings that made no sense. Measurements that broke known scientific understanding. But Dr. Park wasn't finished. Another device came from the case. This one looked like a simple glass tube, but when she activated it, the temperature in the room dropped. Frost formed on the walls. The alien delegation's translation devices struggled to process what was happening. Quantum temperature manipulation, she said simply. We can create extreme cold or extreme heat with precision beyond what you can imagine. The Cowran delegation had conquered hundreds of worlds. They had technologies that would seem like magic to less developed civilizations. But this was different. These were not finished technologies. These were experiments, prototypes. What would humans create when they were done experimenting? Intercepted communications began to play on the screens around them. Casual conversations between human scientists. Discussions about weaponizing quantum entanglement. About controlling biological systems at the molecular level. About technologies that seemed to dance on the edge of possibility. The conversations were terrifying in their casual nature, as if discussing these world-changing technologies was no more important than discussing the weather. Jimin, the Cowran communication specialist, felt her hands begin to shake. Humans didn't just create technology. They played with the fundamental building blocks of reality itself. Dr. Park put the devices back in her case. Her movements were calm, controlled, as if she had not just shown technologies that would change everything the Cowran thought they knew about science. "Any questions?" she asked. No one spoke. What could they possibly say? The research room was quiet. Screens filled with human literature, history, and cultural records surrounded the Cowran team. What started as a simple information-gathering mission had turned into something much more complex. Coral, the resource specialist, leaned closer to the screens. His three eyes moved quickly, absorbing information faster than most beings could process. But what he was seeing made no sense. Human stories were different from anything in the galactic archives. The first set of records showed human mythology, stories of impossible survival, legends about heroes who fought against impossible odds, myths where humans transformed challenges into victories. Greek legends told of Odysseus, a man who spent 10 years finding his way home, outsmarting gods and monsters. Native American stories spoke of trickster figures who defeated powerful beings through wit and cunning. African folktales showed humans overcoming supernatural challenges through creativity. These weren't just stories. They were blueprints of survival. Jimin, the communication specialist, pulled up more records. Historical accounts began to paint a strange picture. Humans didn't just survive. They transformed every challenge into an opportunity. The Black Death in Europe killed millions, but it also led to massive social changes. The Industrial Revolution, new ways of thinking about society. Humans turned a massive tragedy into a moment of growth. World wars destroyed entire countries, but they also pushed human technology forward at impossible speeds. Computers, rockets, medical advances. Each disaster became a chance to rebuild stronger. The Cowran researchers found something even more strange, a human concept called spite. It was a word that had no direct translation in their language. The closest meaning was a kind of aggressive determination, the ability to continue fighting not just for survival, but to prove a point. to show that they could overcome any challenge. One human book caught Coral's attention, a simple text about human psychology. It described something called post-traumatic growth. Most species would be destroyed by massive challenges. Humans transformed those challenges into strength. More screens showed human achievements. A small island nation that became a global technology leader. A country destroyed by war that rebuilt itself into an economic powerhouse. Communities that survived natural disasters and became stronger. The stories were endless. Humans didn't just adapt. They evolved through challenge. Captain Deho watched the screens with growing concern. These weren't just records of a species. These were battle plans, survival strategies written into the very culture of humanity. Jimin found more disturbing information. Human medical records showed something unique. When human bodies were damaged, they didn't just heal. They often became stronger in the process. Muscles that grew after injury. Immune systems that learned and improved. Their entire species was designed to turn limitations into advantages. The research team discovered human art, paintings, music, literature. But these weren't just creative works. They were documents of resistance, stories of hope, expressions of a species that refused to be defeated. One painting showed a tree growing from a broken stone. Another showed a flower pushing through concrete. Small images that represented something much larger. Humans didn't just survive. They conquered. Coral's translation device picked up a human phrase that seemed to summarize everything. What doesn't kill me makes me stronger. The Cowran researchers looked at each other. The confident invasion plan was falling apart. Humans were not a species to be conquered. They were a force of nature. And they were just getting started. The simulation room was silent. Massive holographic displays covered every wall. Complex algorithms danced across screens, mapping potential conflict scenarios between humans and the Cowran Empire. Captain Deho watched carefully. His three-fingered hands gripped the control panel. Sweat formed on his gray skin, a rare sign of stress for his species. The first simulation began. Scenario 1. Direct military confrontation. The Cowran fleet appeared as bright blue lines. Massive ships with technology developed over thousands of years. Weapons that could destroy entire planets. A military machine that had conquered hundreds of worlds. The human response appeared as simple red dots. What happened next shocked everyone in the room. The red dots moved in ways no logical military strategy would predict. They didn't fight like a traditional military. They fought like something else entirely. Like a living system. Like hundreds of independent minds working as one massive organism. Cowran ships that should have easily destroyed human vessels found themselves outmaneuvered, attacked from impossible angles, defeated by strategies that made no sense. Jimin leaned closer to the display. Her translation device worked overtime, trying to understand the impossible tactics she was seeing. Scenario 2. Resource extraction. The Cowran believed they could simply take what they wanted from Earth. The simulation showed their standard approach. Massive harvesting machines, orbital platforms, complete planetary control. But humans didn't respond like any species the Cowran had ever encountered. They didn't fight the invasion directly. Instead, they turned the invasion into an opportunity. Technological advances appeared faster than the Cowran could adapt. Weapons systems materialized from what seemed like nothing. One human strategy particularly confused the alien researchers. When the Cowran attacked one location, humans would immediately develop a completely new technology to counter the attack. Not just a defense, a total transformation of the battlefield. Coral, the resource specialist, felt something close to fear. "They're not just fighting," he whispered. "They're learning." Scenario after scenario played out. Each one ended the same way. Total Cowran defeat. The humans didn't win through superior technology. They won through something harder to measure. Creativity, adaptability, the ability to turn any situation to their advantage. In one simulation, the Cowran destroyed a human communication network. Within hours, Humans developed a completely new communication system that was more advanced than the original. In another scenario, the Kauran cut off human resource supplies. Humans immediately developed new production methods that made the blockade useless. It was like fighting water. Every time the Kauran thought they had won, humans found a new way to flow around the obstacle. Captain Deho's confidence began to crumble. The final simulation ran. The complete planetary invasion scenario, the most complex military projection in Kauran history. The result was always the same. Humans would not just survive, they would transform the entire conflict into an opportunity for growth. Jimin's hands shook as she compiled the final report. The translation device captured her whispered words perfectly. "They are not a species to be conquered," she said. "They are a civilization that turns challenges into evolution." The simulation screens went dark, but the message was clear. The Kauran were no longer the hunters. They had become the hunted. The Kauran diplomatic ship felt different on the journey home. The usual confident hum of alien technology was replaced by something else. Silence. Captain Deho sat in his command chair. His three-fingered hands gripped the armrests so tightly that his knuckles turned a lighter shade of gray. The other crew members avoided looking at each other. Jimin, the communication specialist, reviewed the mission logs. Her fingers moved slowly across the holographic displays. Each replay of their encounter with humans made less sense than the last. Coral, the resource specialist, broke the silence first. "We cannot proceed," he said simply. No one argued. No one needed to. The ship's communication systems were filled with the last words of their human contact. Jaewook's final message played again and again in their translation systems. "We're open to peaceful cooperation, but make no mistake, we will defend ourselves." Such a simple statement, but it carried a weight that terrified the entire Kauran delegation. The ship's navigation system plotted a course back to the Kauran homeworlds, but it was more than a simple return journey. It was a retreat. Memories of the human demonstration played in everyone's minds. The impossible technologies, the cultural resilience, the way humans turned every limitation into an opportunity. Daho remembered Dr. Hyam Park's demonstration, the micro-singularity generator, the quantum temperature manipulation, technologies that should have been impossible. Experimental devices that suggested humans were playing with the fundamental building blocks of reality itself. Jimin kept reviewing the cultural records, human stories of survival, myths about overcoming impossible challenges, historical accounts of societies that rebuilt after total destruction. Each record painted a picture of a species that did not know the meaning of defeat. The ship's massive engines hummed, but the usual sense of conquest was gone, replaced by something else. Fear. Coral pulled up the final military simulation results, hundreds of potential conflict scenarios. Every single one ended the same way. Complete Kauran defeat. "They are not a species to be conquered," he whispered. The words were almost a prayer. The crew understood something profound. Humans were not just another civilization to be added to the Kauran Empire. They were something else entirely. A living, breathing system of adaptation. A civilization that grew stronger through challenges. A species that turned conflict into opportunity. Daho thought about Jaewook's smile during their meeting. It wasn't a smile of aggression. It was a smile of understanding. The smile of a predator who knew exactly what he was. The ship's communication systems picked up broadcasts from Earth. News, music, scientific discussions. To the Kauran, it sounded like noise. But now, they understood it was something more. It was the sound of a species constantly evolving. Jimin compiled the final mission report. Her hands moved carefully. Each word was chosen with precision. Recommendation, she wrote, total non-intervention. Potential contact, extremely dangerous. The word dangerous seemed too small, too limited. Humans were not just dangerous. They were a force of nature. As the ship moved through the darkness of space, the Kauran delegation understood a simple truth. Some species are meant to be conquered. Humans were not one of them. News traveled fast in the galaxy. Faster than light. Faster than sound. Faster than thought. The communication networks lit up. Alien species from 100 different worlds received the same message. The Kauran, the most successful conquering civilization in known space, had failed. Failed to conquer Earth. Failed to even negotiate with humans. The first reports came through as simple data streams, encrypted messages, carefully worded diplomatic communications. But between the lines, something else emerged. A story that would change everything. On the planet Zorn, diplomatic councils gathered. Their massive communication arrays picked up the first signals from the Kauran diplomatic mission. The Vex Collective studied the reports. Their six-legged forms moved carefully around holographic displays. Each member of the collective analyzed the data from a different angle. Impossible, one whispered. But the data was clear. Humans were different. The reports showed technologies that broke known scientific understanding, cultural practices that defied logical analysis, a species that didn't just survive, but transformed every challenge into an opportunity. More information came. Intercepted communications, cultural records, scientific studies. Humans had survived multiple near-extinction events on their own planet. Ice ages, massive volcanic eruptions, planetary climate changes. Diseases that could have wiped out entire populations. Each time, they didn't just survive. They grew stronger. The Andromeda Cooperative studied the human files with growing concern. Their own civilization was advanced, peaceful, technologically sophisticated, but humans were something else entirely. A living system of constant adaptation. On the trading planet of Nexus Prime, alien merchants shared stories. Whispers about the species that had turned back the Kauran, not through superior weaponry, not through diplomatic skill, but through something harder to define. Creativity, determination, the ability to turn any situation into an opportunity. Scientific networks began to compile the data. Researchers from 1,000 different worlds analyzed every piece of information about humans. They discovered something strange. Humans didn't just learn from challenges. They were designed to grow through challenges. Their medical systems showed how human bodies responded to injury, not just healing, but becoming stronger, more resilient, muscles that grew after stress, immune systems that learned and improved with each encounter. Their technological development followed the same pattern. Each setback became a chance for innovation. The galactic communication networks buzzed with a new understanding. Humans were not just another species. They were a force of nature. Some alien civilizations began to prepare, not for invasion, but for potential contact, for the possibility that humans might one day reach out to them. Others decided to avoid humans completely. The Vex Collective made a simple recommendation to their ruling council. Observe, they said, but do not engage. On distant worlds, in massive communication centers, alien species reached the same conclusion. Humans were not to be underestimated. They were not to be challenged. They were to be respected. The galaxy held its collective breath. Something had changed, and humans were just getting started. 10 years passed. The first truly collaborative galactic council formed on a neutral space station. Representatives from hundreds of alien civilizations gathered. At the center of the conference hall sat 3 human delegates. They didn't look impressive. One was a scientist. One was a diplomat. One was a military strategist. But every alien in the room watched them carefully. Dr. Kim Jo-wook, the same diplomat who had first met the Kauran, sat casually. His hands rested on the table. No weapons. No special technology visible, just a human in a simple dark suit. The station itself was a marvel of cooperative design. Each section represented a different alien civilization's architectural style. But the most innovative sections, those were clearly human-designed. Korol, the former Kauran resource specialist, now worked as a galactic diplomatic advisor. He watched the humans carefully. Old habits died hard. The first discussions were about scientific collaboration. Humans didn't demand. They proposed. They shared. They listened. But everyone remembered what humans could do if pushed. The Vex Collective presented a complex problem about interstellar resource management. Before they could finish explaining, the human scientist, Dr. Elena Rodriguez, had already sketched out 3 possible solutions. Not just solutions, innovative approaches that transformed the entire concept of resource management. The diplomatic representative suggested a method of conflict resolution that was neither human nor alien, but something entirely new. An approach that turned potential conflict into mutual growth. The military strategist said almost nothing, but his presence was a reminder, a quiet warning. Humans were here, not as conquerors, not as victims, as partners. Coral remembered the first meeting with humans, the fear, the uncertainty. Now, he watched as human representatives moved through the diplomatic hall. They didn't dominate. They didn't submit. They integrated. One alien representative asked a simple question. How do you do it? How do you turn every challenge into an opportunity? Dr. Jaywook smiled, the same smile that had first frightened the Calran years ago. We don't see obstacles, he said simply. We see possibilities. The Galactic Council continued. Discussions about technology, about science, about mutual understanding. Humans had not conquered the galaxy. They had something better. They had transformed it. The Calran delegation sat in a corner, silent, watching. They had learned their lesson years ago. Humans were not a species to be conquered. They were a species that conquered possibilities. As the meeting continued, something became clear to every alien in the room. Humans weren't just another species. They were evolution itself, adaptive, resilient, unstoppable. And they were just getting started. The galaxy would never be the same. Asterisk, the end asterisk.